What's up, y'all? It's Ryan Morimoto here, and this is our show, Living Better. Welcome to a happier and healthier you. And today I have a very special guest, Customer Appreciation Day with Jude. Hey, Jude, can you say hi and give a bit on your
Hey
background?
everyone, my name is Jude. Pleasure to be on this podcast, Ryan. Thank you for organizing it.
You're welcome.
So, I was thinking about the best way to go about describing my background, and I think that I really would distill it to a few essential qualities about myself. And the first being that I'm a father to two wonderful boys, Andronicus and Thaddeus, who I find it hard to speak about without, being moved to tears because they mean so much to me. And the realization that I'm father is just an astounding one for me because in many ways I still feel like a child myself. So that's the most important part of my identity, my being a father to those two wonderful boys. And then secondly, I'm a husband to a wonderful woman named Daniela, who is in many ways responsible for the man I am today. I think most of what I've achieved in my life, I can correlate directly with her being a fixture in my life. And I wouldn't be anywhere as successful or as accomplished or possibly not even alive, if I hadn't met her. And so Daniela, just want to say I'm grateful for you. Um, I'm also a bodybuilder. If you couldn't tell by the 23-inch arms, the gym has been sort of a sanctuary for me and a place to decompress and to sort of just release any sort of mental toxicity and anguish and just sort of just a safe haven. That's what the gym has represented for me in the 15 years that I've been training. And then lastly, I also consider myself a bit of an intellectual. I graduated from UC Berkeley in 2017
Nice.
um, as a pre-law major. Intended to go to law school, but that didn't happen. Worked my way through several law firms to my present employer, Cooley. And I think those are the highlights. But
Yeah.
generally, I'm also, I think I consider myself quite personable. People seem to gravitate towards me, and I think they can generally sense that I just have a heart for people. So,
Jude, I appreciate that so much. You starting with your family, your kids, and your wife, and being open and honest. And I can honestly relate, I don't have kids yet, but I'm moving towards that phase of my life and just seeing how much that means to you to have your kids and how much support your wife has brought you. My wife and I have grown so much and, like you kind of mentioned, my character today is here because she's helped me so much with that. And I truly appreciate you really putting your fatherhood and your being a husband first. That's something I strive for and I believe in my core values as well. And I think it can all bring us fulfillment and happiness, as we are able to step into these roles. So I truly appreciate that. And I like the gun show. I like the I like the gun show. That's awesome. So you've tried Magu and things like that. So maybe can you give people a bit of background of your life kind of leading up to before you tried Magu, right? Like what was
man,
life like before trying Magu?
in a word, unbearable. If I had to use a singular word to describe my experience before the advent or introducing Mongo into my life, mental health is something I've struggled with my entire life. I'm an African immigrant. I was born and raised in Ghana.
Oh wow.
Initially immigrated to the United States at 6 years old, and then for various reasons, I was sent back when I was 10. And through a series of unfortunate events, I kind of got trapped in Ghana for the next 10 years, while my nuclear family was here in the United States. And I sort of bounced around several different places because I was frankly unwanted. At least that's how I perceived it.
Right.
That created a lot of anguish, and it just sort of carried over into adulthood with feelings of insecurity, feelings of low
Mm,
self-esteem. And in many ways, that's what facilitated my bodybuilding journey, right? Because
Got it.
I felt I wasn't enough and thought, hey, maybe if I build a powerful physique, if I look more attractive, if I do these things that seem to appeal to the masses, perhaps I'll find self-esteem within myself. I'll start thinking better about myself. And I realized that that didn't play out exactly. That's my son. He loves his daddy time. So, uh,
Yeah.
but it didn't actually play out like that. The better I got physically, intellectually, um, materially, there was no correlation with that and my internal state,
Mm.
right? And I kept searching, and at some point I even started dabbling in things that I would not mention on camera, but that I shouldn't have because I was so desperate for relief,
Yeah.
and relief was not forthcoming. And at some point, I think I reached resignation that this was going to be my default state. This is what something I just had to endure for a lifetime. And if that was the case, then so be it. I had a job to do. I still had to be a dad, still had to be a husband, still had to be a provider. And if it came along with this baggage, then that's maybe perhaps that's what we're all going through. Then hey, I just have to accept what cards I've been dealt. And so that was life before Magu. And I'm happy to say that is not life presently.
That's awesome to hear. You mentioned some powerful words that a lot of people feel, myself included, too, right? Like insecurities, low self-esteem. And you mentioned the word anguish a couple of times. Can you maybe describe like what that means to you, or how did that kind of sh show up in your life and affect you?
English. And I'm feeling it now. Right. Um, for me, anguish is just a perennial state of internal pain
Mm,
that makes it hard to get out of bed, that brings you to tears every time you take a shower, that has you crying alone in your car after a long drive back from work, that has you contemplating whether any of this is worth it.
mm,
Is this worth it? Is this is it worth living a lifetime of this? And if so, and if why not just end it now? Why endure this? Why make myself suffer this with no silver lining, no recompense, no benefit? Is the point just pain for the sake of pain, or is there something that comes out of it? And the inability to answer that question, I guess, is the source of the anguish. Because
mm,
pain, if it has a prize, is can be worth it. I put my body through pain every single day,
mhm,
but it's in building and crafting something that I believe is worthwhile. And when I look in the mirror, I see the fruits of that pain. I see what the pain produced. But pointless pain, pain that has no aim, pain that has no end, and pain that seems to not produce anything worthwhile is it's hard to accept. And that's the state that I was in. And that's what I would describe as anguish.
Wow, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing that, and to share something with you too as well. I actually created a recent video on this, but I had a lot of recent podcast episode. I had a lot of, in your word, anguish for me. I was in shame, and I where I can relate specifically to what you're saying is when I was going through all this self-shame, specifically around some friends who passed away, a lot of shame and blame on myself, and I did get to that point of like, is this worth it? And you know, by the grace of my partner, she saved me, and got help. So I know a lot of people can go through, pain, shame, anguish, and can sometimes feel harder to deal with than than we think. And I'm so glad that, you're still here and you got the support of your family. You're providing for your family. And, with this journey of Magu, um, you know, I just appreciate you sharing that. So for you, like leading up to this, how did you end up hearing about us? And was there anything you're kind of concerned about as you started to learn about Magu?
Well, I wasn't really concerned because I mean I'd experimented with stuff that was far less benign, so that wasn't that wasn't really concern. And it just Magu just popped up on my Instagram feed, you know, and I've kind of gotten into the habit of just using myself as a guinea pig and just trying stuff to see if by happenstance I come across something that works. So I ordered, I was kind of taken aback initially by the price tag when I saw how small the bottle was. But then I listened to uh, James,
Yeah,
explanation in his tutorial on how to use the product, and I was like, all right, let's give it a shot. So ordered my first bottle. I came in, and when I opened it, um, I remember asking myself distinctly, is this weed? Like, is that what it,
a lot of
it
people,
smells
yeah.
like weed, you know? But it's hemp, right? And of course, they're related substances, but not
Right.
exactly the same. And I did do some research on it and found out that the THC levels are almost near zero, and you have to consume a crazy amount of it to theoretically show up on any sort of drug test. So that put my mind at ease. Um, but uh, it's set to start with one scoop, but I've always told myself, well, I'm twice the size of most people, so I'm just going straight for the kill. Let's go two heaping scoops and let's see what happens. Let's get this ball rolling, right? So, so
Oh,
I took my favorite juice, took a swig of it just the way James, instructed. Took two heaping scoops and then just swished it around in my mouth, probably for a good 2 minutes. Swallowed it, and the strangest thing happened
mm,
shortly after. I mean, I can't point to a definitive moment where I started feeling something, but I definitely started feeling something. And I'm feeling that same thing now because I took my Magu like an hour ago, right? I'm feeling that same thing now. And it was just sort of an abiding and a slowly descending sense of calm that just sort of seemed to spread, started inwardly and sort of just spread through my body. And I felt the internal conflict and all the internal noise that I feel here and here sort of just quiet, just sort of start to quiet down. And the most, it was the strangest thing to me because I've tried so many things and I've never gotten that effect before. And I was asking myself, is this placebo? Am I
right.
just tricking myself into thinking this is happening? And but then the instructions said, well, you can expect for this to get better as you use it day by day, and you'll notice this experience every single time you use it. I was like, well, let's put that to the test, I'm a scientist, let's put that to the test, And so I just kept using it, and I realized that I started feeling empowered
Mm,
because the conflict that I was feeling internally was suddenly not controlling my ability to be myself, right?
mm,
It didn't go away completely. I could still feel it, but it wasn't commandeering the ship anymore,
mm,
right? It was no longer holding the reins. I was in control now, and I could and feel that conflict, feel that internal noise, and say, no, this is what I'm going to do instead. I'm not going to allow myself to be paralyzed by this. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to express myself the way I want to express myself. And I'm going to be as vulnerable as I want to be. and I'm going to be myself. And that's kind of been life since
Let's
since
go.
Oahu, you know. And so now I ordered the gold. Is it the gold or the platinum? Do you have a platinum or is it a gold?
The gold bundle.
The gold bundle. Because I was like, I want my mother-in-law to try this. I want my wife to
Wow.
try it. I want my sister. I want my whole household. I want to send some to my sisters. I want everyone to try this, um, because I know how I suffer, and I know through talks with them and just through knowing them, I know that they suffer internally as well. And I want everyone to have the opportunity to experience this as well. If it brings them even a measure of the relief that it's brought me, I would like for them to experience that as well. And so we're a Magu household now, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Wow, that was powerful. That brought chills to my spine. And I just,
That,
I'm so grateful that it's been able to help you and that you've been able to take this and share with your family and all those around you, right? And you being able to, like you said, take control of the wheel. Like people have kind of said that as well, of like that calm, that overthinking, that internal stress or whatever it may show up as, like kind of quiets down so that you feel like you can take control. And
exactly.
it may not perfectly go away all the time. We still have to do things like you do, work out or other habits to help, but us being able to take control again and be able to push that forward. I truly am grateful that this helped you in that way.
Thank
And
you. I'm grateful that you provided a product like this, brought a product like this to the market. I really
thank
am.
you. Thank you. And there's some people like yourself who dive in, willing to try things. And then there's also some people who may be hesitant, like, should I try this? Is this gonna work for me? Maybe a little doubt if this may or may not work. So for someone kind of sitting on the fence, whether they should try this or not, what would you say to someone who may be sitting on the fence if they should try Magu or not?
I would say, well, my first question would be, what do you really have to lose? Right? It's it's natural. It's not going to show up in a drug test. It's safe, and it has a money back guarantee.
Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
So literally when I bought my first bottle, I put a reminder in my calendar. Like, if this shit doesn't work, I'm sending it back. Okay. I'm waiting till the day before, right, with the deadline, and I'm sending it back. That's exactly what I'm doing, right? Because that's what the instructions said. So my question would be, what do you have to lose? And think about what you have to gain. If you can gain any measure of control over your internal dialogue, over your internal pain, over your mental health, any measure, how much is that worth to you?
Mm,
How much is that worth to you? For me, it was worth anything. I would have given every pound of muscle that I had to find the peace that I have now. I
oof.
would have given anything besides, I mean, maybe my unborn child. I don't know. Not the ones that are born already, maybe born because I don't know him yet. But
Uh,
but what do you have to lose? It's a small investment. Get that first jar, try it out. If it works and you experience what I've experienced, great. You found something to help you get through life
right.
a little bit easier. There's so much we go through in life, and anything that helps, right? So try it out. And if it doesn't, if you just happen to be a non-responder for any reason, which I don't think that people are, because we all have basically the same stuff going on internally,
Right. In our
right?
bodies.
Like Daniela, my wife started taking some, and she always follows my lead, so she took 2 scoops as well, and it was a little overwhelming for her. She's like, "This is too much." And then next day she took one scoop. She was like, okay, this is more my speed. Now I'm getting what you were getting. Um, but anyone who's on the fence, I say just try it. Try it, see what happens. If it's not for you, send it back and your search continues. But what if this is that thing you've been looking for?
Hmm.
What if this is it, right? And you listening to this podcast was a divine appointment. The same way me scrolling through Instagram and having that ad just pop up. What orchestrated that? I don't know. I just know now I find myself at this point where my life is so much better because that happened. And so I would say, don't miss it. Don't miss it. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. So hop off the fence.
Well said. To summarize that in kind of words that I've used, I look at it best case and worst case scenario, right? What's the worst case scenario? You try something, if it's not for you, like you said, just send it back, we'll take care of you. But what's the best case scenario?
Mm.
Maybe you feel calmer, maybe the thinking goes down, whatever it may be, and you can step in to that higher level health or whatever you may be looking for. You've been so insightful. I appreciate you, Jude. As we wrap up, is there any last things you'd like to say to the community?
Um, let's see. My Instagram currently isn't active, but when it is, it's your Jude Diligence. So a follow would be great.
Of course.
Um, any tips? I love to talk bodybuilding and philosophy. I love philosophy. Um, I love just getting to people's minds and just connecting with people. So anyone who wants to reach out to me for really deep, meaningful conversation, just know that's always on the table. And of course, the most important thing that I have to say before ending this podcast is just get swole.
Let's do it. I appreciate you so much, Jude. You've been so much fun. Thank you for your time. Anyone out there, if you have any questions, comments, drop them below. Like this video, share with a friend or family that you may find useful. Subscribe for more. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.